who are blind, have low vision, or another print disability that makes reading, holding a book, even turning a page difficult, if not impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org. The Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service now presents a reading of articles and features from USA Today for Thursday, July the 30th, 2026. Your readers today,
Jim Duffy
and Ken Drost. Opening the USA Today, Fauci dodges questions on COVID. He pleads the fifth in a contentious hearing. Bart Jansen, Joey Garrison, and Aaron Mansfield jointly write the following article. Dr. Anthony Fauci, chief architect of the U.S. response to the COVID-19 pandemic, refused to answer Senate questions July 29 about his role during that era, invoking his Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination as lawmakers threatened him with criminal prosecution. Senator Rand Paul, the Republican from Kentucky, accused Fauci of lying to Congress about the possibility the virus originated from a Chinese lab and the government's response to the pandemic. Fauci, who was head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases under 7 presidents, appeared under subpoena before the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Government Affairs. He consistently refused to answer questions in a hearing that became so heated that Paul, chairman of the committee, threatened to pursue criminal charges of obstruction against Fauci. Paul also booted one of his lawyers from the room for sitting next to him at the witness table. Fauci, who's 85, was the public face of the federal government's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. He retired from federal government work at the end of 2022. Former President Joe Biden preemptively pardoned Fauci to shield him from criminal investigation. But Paul has said that if Fauci perjures himself, the pardon for past actions will not protect him. Reading from a one-page statement at the start of the hearing, Fauci said he would be invoking his Fifth Amendment right because the hearing had one purpose: to entrap him into saying something that could be used against him in court. He said Paul had an unhinged obsession with prosecuting him. He cited repeated slanderous comments about me and Paul's recent release of Fauci's diary aimed at embarrassing and intimidating me. The only conclusion I can reach is that the sole reason he is calling me before this committee is to get me to say something, anything, that could vindicate his repeated public pledges that I end up, in his words, behind bars, Fauci said. Paul said he denied Fauci's assertion of privilege and directed him to answer questions anyway. When Fauci continued to refuse to testify, Paul said the committee would pursue charges against him. It's against the law to obstruct an investigation of Congress, Paul said. There will be repercussions. He accused Fauci of covering up legitimate questions about federal funding to the Wuhan Institute of Virology and research on whether the coronavirus could have come from animals or from a lab experiment. Paul said that the funding for experimental research at the lab was one of the worst public health decisions in history, and that Fauci needed to come clean and ask forgiveness from the American people who suffered as the coronavirus spread to pandemic proportions. He peppered Fauci with questions about Mpox research, the possible CIA transfer of money to his agency, and research into how avian flu jumped to mammals. Paul focused on whether the benefits of the research into how viruses are spread were worth the risk. On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based on my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution. Fauci replied to each question. The amendment protects people from having to incriminate themselves in court and instead forces prosecutors to prove their case. With Fauci unwilling to defend himself, Republicans on the committee used the hearing to air some of their long-held claims about him and his advice to Americans, using Fauci's Fifth Amendment strategy to shame the once celebrated infectious disease expert. We have entire generations of Americans who, rightfully so, do not trust our institutions to keep them safe because of you, Senator Rick Scott of Florida told Fauci. This has destroyed decades of progress and lifetimes of work because you wanted to fuel your own ego and be the center of attention. Scott asked in another exchange, in hindsight, are you disappointed how you handled COVID? Do you have any regrets? Fauci gave his standard answer. Your legacy will not be as a man who has saved America from COVID, but as a man who destroyed the public trust in America's public health institutions in exchange for 5 minutes of fame, Scott said. This is how history will remember you. Senator Josh Hawley, Republican from Missouri, began with, nothing says honesty like taking the fifth on Doc. He then mocked Fauci's strategy by asking him a series of basic factual questions about the day of the week and the color of the carpet. To each, Fauci said, on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. Hawley accused Fauci of violating the law and said he has done more to harm science than anybody in my lifetime. He added, I hope you go home and write that in your diary. Several Democratic senators came to Fauci's defense. Senator Maggie Hassan, Democrat from New Hampshire, thanked Fauci for more than 50 years of federal government service and said, it must be enormously frustrating to know that this hearing is designed to entrap you. She lamented the spread of public health crises, such as measles and cyclosporiasis, that she said should be instead the subject of congressional hearings. Senator Richard Blumenthal, Democrat from Connecticut, said the COVID pandemic was one of the darkest times in U.S. history and suggested the hearing was part of the Trump administration's effort to rewrite the history of a pandemic. The Trump administration launched baseless smears against vaccines that pulled the country out of the crisis that killed 1 million Americans and 15 million people worldwide, Blumenthal said. Fauci spent decades in federal government helping conquer COVID-19, HIV, swine flu, Zika, Ebola, and other epidemics, Blumenthal said. For the past 18 months, the Trump administration has been engaged in a campaign to rewrite this history, the senator said. Today's proceeding, I fear, is part of that effort, one of the darkest days in our Senate's history.
Climate has sharks on the move. From Janet Lork of USA Today. As interest in sharks ramps up amid Discovery Channel's Shark Week, which runs through Saturday, August the 1st, 2 studies have offered new insights into how sharks are changing their behavior and habitats. Researchers have found that rising ocean temperatures are reshaping where sharks live and travel. Some species are expanding their range farther north along the East Coast, while others, such as great white sharks, use the Gulf of America, also known as the Gulf of Mexico, as an important winter habitat. The oceans have experienced historic warming over the past decade, soaking up more than 90% of the surplus heat accumulating in Earth's climate, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So does that mean Americans will see more sharks along our coastlines? Not necessarily. You may not see more sharks overall, but you could see them in places where they were once less common. Shannon Berry, a researcher in the Department of Ocean Engineering and Marine Sciences at the Florida Institute of Technology and lead author of a study published in April in the journal Marine Ecology Progress Series, seems to agree. As we see ocean temperatures increasing, especially as you move northward along the U.S. Atlantic coast, these near-shore habitats that bull sharks use for nursery sites are moving into the temperature range preferred by juveniles. Shark sightings are popping up in regions the animals don't normally visit as they adjust to warming waters, USA Today has reported. As ocean conditions change, some species are shifting their migration routes, feeding grounds, and nursery habitats, a Berry study says. These changes can lead to more shark sightings and, in some areas, a greater likelihood of shark-human encounters. As ocean temperatures rise, bull sharks appear to be moving crucial nursery habitats farther north along the East Coast. Berry and her researchers found evidence that a new nursery population has become established in North Carolina, signaling a broader shift in the species' behavior. The move poleward is driven by climate change, Berry said. Bull sharks have a specific temperature range they like to maintain, with adults typically found between 26 and 30 degrees Celsius, which is 78.8 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit, and rarely below 20 degrees Celsius, also 68 degrees Fahrenheit, while juveniles have been found in temperature ranges of 20 to 34 degrees in Celsius, which is 68 to 93.2 degrees Fahrenheit. Another peer-reviewed study published in the journal Wildlife Research challenges assumptions about great white shark migration. Researchers found that many great whites travel thousands of miles each winter from Canada and then the northeastern United States to the Gulf of America, also known as the Gulf of Mexico. Using satellite-linked smart position and acoustic tags, researchers tracked 92 white sharks tagged between Nova Scotia, Canada, and Jacksonville, Florida. They found that 57 sharks across all life stages spent significant time in the Gulf or Straits of Florida, primarily from December through May, as part of a long-term OSERG-led research effort. For years, we suspected white sharks were using the Gulf more than people realized. Chris Fisher, founder and expedition leader of OSERG, posted on the group's site. This research confirms the Gulf is a regular winter habitat for this population and highlights how connected the ecosystems of the Atlantic Ocean truly are. It's no surprise that Florida leads the nation in unprovoked shark bites. With more than 8,000 miles of coastline and millions of people entering the water every year, the state offers more opportunities for encounters between sharks and humans than anywhere else in the United States. Now, how often do shark attacks happen in the United States? You're far more likely to be struck by lightning than to be attacked by a shark. Shark attacks are considered extremely rare. The Florida Museum, a state natural history museum, puts the odds of being attacked by a shark at 1 in 11.5 million. The odds of being struck by lightning in a given year are 1 in 1.2 million, according to NOAA. Tracking Sharks says 7 shark bite attacks were recorded this year as of July 5th in 5 states. Florida with 2, California with 2, Georgia, New York, and Texas all with 1. And how to reduce your risk of being a shark attack victim? First have a swimming buddy. Don't go into the water alone. Don't swim at dawn or dusk. The light is low, which can increase the likelihood that sharks could be mistaking you for another prey. Don't enter waters where there is fishing activity. Don't wear shiny jewelry. It can catch the sunlight and glint, much like fish that sharks prey upon. And finally, try to avoid splashing. It generates a sound similar to that of struggling fish, which can attract sharks.
You're listening to a reading of today's USA Today on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is 12:15. The Art of the Bluff, How Trump Gets His Way. Extraordinary demands often lead to lesser wins. Washington Dateline, Bart Jansen reporting. Call it the art of the bluff. Bombing Iran back to the Stone Age. Threatening to double the cost of Chinese imports. Filing multi-billion-dollar lawsuits. President Trump storms ahead when embarking on a new policy or seeking to intimidate an adversary. But agreement often comes after he trims his sails. The commander-in-chief called Iranian leaders very smart people, very, very good negotiators, after hammering out a framework for peace that later fell apart. He touted a fantastic trade deal that came after meeting with the great leader, China's President Xi Jinping. And he settled lawsuits for fractions of a percent of what he demanded, or for the promise of avoiding tax audits. It's a strategy Trump learned in the bare-knuckle world of New York real estate development. I went in and asked for the world for an unprecedented tax abatement on the assumption that even if I got cut back, the break might still be sufficient. Trump wrote this in his 1987 book, Trump, The Art of the Deal. In a funny way, it was like a high-stakes poker game in which neither side has very strong cards, so both are forced to bluff. So here's a look at how he's deployed the approach as president. Trump's comments on Iran have ranged from bellicose to complimentary. Trump demanded unconditional surrender in March 6 post. He said in an April 1 post, "We are blasting Iran into oblivion," or as they say, back to the Stone Age. And he said, "A whole civilization will die tonight," in an April 7th post. The United States and Iranian officials signed a framework June 17th to stop the bombing, halt the U.S. blockade, and reopen the Strait of Hormuz to commercial shipping in exchange for Tehran's commitment not to develop nuclear weapons. They're very, very smart people, very good negotiators, Trump said. But after Iran resumed firing on commercial ships in the Strait, Trump returned to the harsh talk. He told reporters at a NATO summit that Iranian leaders are scum, sick people. Honestly, they haven't seen anything yet, Trump told reporters in the Oval Office, July 21st. We've been nice. As the American eagle battled the Chinese dragon over trade, Trump imposed tariffs on imports from China last year that threatened to reach 157% against China's extraordinarily aggressive and extremely hostile position. I don't think that's sustainable for them, he said. But Trump repeatedly postponed or withdrew tariffs as he negotiated a trade agreement in October with the United States' third largest trading partner. I think it was a very friendly meeting, Trump said, in reaching an agreement with Xi. It was a good meeting for two very large, powerful countries. That's the way we should get along with a large, powerful country. Despite the haggling, the government is collecting much more in tariffs under Trump. The average tariff rate for all imports is about 9%, according to the Tax Policy Center. Tariffs averaged 2.5% in 2024, the year before Trump's second term, according to the Tax Foundation. I think the president has viewed tariffs as an opening salvo. Dave Townsend, partner at Dorsey and Whitney, they're representing foreign clients in trade litigation, and so they told USA Today. Scott Lincecum, vice president of general economics at the Libertarian Cato Institute, said threatening higher amounts and eventually settling for less still left tariffs nearly 4 times higher than when Trump returned to office. In the trade space, Trump's strategy is always maximalist at first, very public, very much trying to get everyone to overreact, and then settling for what he actually wanted, and having the temperature actually go down because everybody expected the worst. Lincecum told USA Today, "There is some measure of relief when the worst does not happen, even if you're worse off." Another clash arose July 16 when Trump Another clash arose July 16 when Trump released a batch of declassified intelligence documents and accused China of trying to undermine the 2020 election. But a few days later, he downplayed the threat and said both countries meddle with each other. He then accused China of stealing 220 million voter files from the states across the country in what he called the largest compromise of election data in history, although election experts said states stole that information. Trump also said during that primetime televised speech that China sought to influence U.S. business leaders to turn against the president during his first term, and he paid reporters to write negatively about him. The Chinese government wanted the U.S. president to lose the next election, and the reason they wanted me to lose? Because they knew I was wise to them, Trump said. But when reporters asked July 21st about consequences for China, Trump downplayed the threat by suggesting the U.S. government does similar things to them. Well, we'll talk to them about it. It took place a long time ago, Trump told reporters in the Oval Office. I think China's maybe a little bit different today than it was then, but look, they do things, we do things to them. I'll be honest, we do things to them too. It's not a one-way street. Trump worked the refs at the Supreme Court for his priorities of imposing tariffs and restricting birthright citizenship, but then shrugged off losses in both cases. He said in December that a ruling against him in the tariffs case would be the biggest threat in history to the United States' national security. We're screwed if the court overturns the tariffs, Trump added in a social media post on January 12th. But after the February 20th decision, Trump acknowledged other paths to tariffs. Yes, I have another way of doing tariffs, but a little slower and more laborious than what was just determined in a close decision to be illegal or unconstitutional, with 3 powerful and highly accurate dissents, he said on social media. In another major loss at the High Court, Trump argued the country cannot live with the shackles of birthright citizenship, which he said was not economical or sustainable in a social media post June 11th. He reinforced the importance of the case by becoming the first sitting president to attend an oral argument. But after the court ruled against him on the final day of its term, June 30, Trump said another decision released the same day was more important because it confirmed his power to remove the heads of independent agencies. Regarding birthright citizenship defeat, we can easily make it up in Congress through legislation, Trump said in a social media post June 30. Trump, who frequently went to court before being elected president, has not let his day job keep him from filing multi-billion-dollar lawsuits. But in several high-profile cases, he settled for millions, less than 0.2% of his demands, or an agreement to avoid future tax investigations. For example, Trump filed a lawsuit against ABC March 24, 2024, after George Stephanopoulos inaccurately said he was found liable for raping columnist E. Jean Carroll in her civil case against him. ABC agreed in December 2024 to pay $15 million to Trump's presidential library and $1 million for his legal fees. Trump filed a $10 billion lawsuit in October of that year over the editing of a 60 Minutes interview on CBS with his Democratic opponent, Kamala Harris. He settled in July of 2025 for $16 million from CBS owner Paramount. He's also sued the Wall Street Journal for $10 billion for writing about his relationship with accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, and the New York Times for $15 billion for disparaging articles during the 2024 campaign. Those cases are still unresolved. Lee Levine, a lawyer who has represented media clients for 35 years, said, naming a big price in a lawsuit is common. That's not unique to Trump. Lawyers always put in their complaints outrageous dollar figures, usually just a function of how tired their fingers get in typing zeros at their computers, Levine said. The settlements have been wins for Trump, even though the numbers are a fraction of what he thought. But he said the multi-million-dollar settlements, which came before the cases were tested in court, reflected timidity of the media companies seeking to avoid getting on the president's wrong side. The amounts of the settlements standing on their own are jaw-dropping, Levine said. Trump, his two older sons, and his namesake business filed a $10 billion lawsuit in January against the Internal Revenue Service after a contractor leaked their tax returns to reporters. The lawsuit said the Trumps suffered reputational and financial harm, public embarrassment, and unfairly tarnished their business reputations. Trump, who oversees the IRS as president, reached an agreement in May that the IRS would not audit him for past tax liabilities. The agreement also envisioned a nearly $1.8 billion fund to repay people investigated by the Justice Department. But Trump dropped the provision after a public outcry, and a judge is reviewing the argument. This lawsuit was not brought to vindicate rights. It was brought to manipulate the judicial process, U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams wrote. Some of Trump's lawsuits have yielded results. Tariffs are being recalibrated. But the evaluation of his foreign policy remains unresolved because the Iran war grinds on. In The Art of the Deal, Trump wrote about not getting too greedy in financial negotiations. If you go for a home run on every pitch, you're also going to strike out a lot, Trump wrote. I try never to leave myself too exposed, even if it means sometimes settling for a triple, a double, or, even on rare occasions, a single. But Trump's unpredictability in foreign affairs can be unsettling to the other side, because it leaves negotiators uncertain whether the president will uphold his side of the deal, according to Trita Parsi, executive vice president of the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft. It's a think tank that emphasizes military restraint and diplomatic engagement. Part of it is that he's coming out with this bluster and then settles for something else. Parsi told USA Today, it can cause foreign leaders to be more cautious. It can cause them to be fearful of what he may do.
Judge dismisses lawsuit over Trump's religious panel. Faith groups had filed over lack of diversity from Brianna J. Frank of USA Today. A federal judge dismissed a lawsuit that sought to have the court declare President Trump's Religious Liberty Commission to have an illegal lack of diversity through having only Christian and Jewish members. A multi-faith group of organizations, Interfaith Alliance, Muslims for Progressive Values, the Shki American Legal Defense and Education Fund, and Hindus for Human Rights sued the administration in February over what they said was an illegal lack of religious and ideological diversity on the commission. Americans United for Separation of Church and State and Democracy Forward represented the groups. The groups also accused the commission of disregarding basic transparency requirements that allow the public to follow and understand the commission's work. The administration notified the court in late April that it had publicly posted commission records, including transcripts, meeting minutes, and hearing recommendations. Rachel Lacer, president and CEO of Americans United for Separation of Church and State, said at the time that the files only confirm for all to see the fatal flaw at the core of this commission, its Christian nationalist bias. The administration has rejected such notions. In response to the dismissal, White House spokeswoman Taylor Rogers called the suit meritless and a poor attempt to thwart the Trump administration's effort to promote religious liberty in a statement to USA Today on July the 28th. The Religious Liberty Commission's important work will continue, and President Trump will always vigorously defend religious liberty for all Americans, according to Rogers.
You're listening to a reading of today's USA Today on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is 12:30.
Continuing, Lacer said the groups behind the lawsuit were disappointed by the dismissal and respectfully and strongly disagree that the Religious Liberty Commission's members represent a fair balance of viewpoints. We are reviewing next steps with our co-counsel and plaintiffs, she said in a statement to USA Today. The Reverend Paul Rauschenbusch, president and CEO of Interfaith Alliance, said in a statement to USA Today on July the 29th that the dismissal wrongly ignored that the Commission privileges one narrow religious and ideological view. Even so, the transparency we earned for the American people is a meaningful victory for everyone who believes religious freedom belongs to all, not just a favored few, he said. Interfaith Alliance and our multi-faith partners will keep standing up to Christian nationalism whenever it threatens our democracy. Trump established the commission through an order in May of last year. The group was tasked with publishing a report on the history and state of religious liberty in the nation by July the 4th of this year. The group included Protestant, Catholic, and Jewish members, but no Muslims or members of other minority religions. The February lawsuit accused the commission's members of pushing the view that America is a Judeo-Christian nation with limited, if any, restrictions on infusing their religious values into government. The lawsuit pointed to the Federal Advisory Committee Act, which requires such groups to be fairly balanced in terms of points of view represented. U.S. District Judge John P. Cronin, whom Trump appointed in 2020, wrote July 27th that the law does not clearly define what constitutes fair balance, and that courts have historically been highly deferential in reviewing a committee's composition. Under this deferential standard, the RLC's membership is fairly balanced, Cronin wrote. Its members include workers in the public, private, and nonprofit sectors, have widely varying life experiences, from a former host of a popular television show to a state lieutenant governor, are religious leaders as well as rank-and-file congregants, and, to the extent that it matters, encompass adherents of at least 5 different religions. In response to the plaintiff's argument that having only Christian and Jewish commissioners is unlawful, Cronin said commissioners' religious beliefs are not relevant to the commission's function. He also disagreed with the premise that there is a single Judeo-Christian viewpoint. Given the wide diversity of Christian and Jewish beliefs, there is no reason to think that an evangelical member would balance out a Catholic member any less than a Buddhist member would, Cronin's opinion said. He also rejected the allegations related to transparency requirements, saying the law does not have a deadline for making records available.
Moving on to the money section. Kroger's plan for cage-free eggs by 2025 comes up a little short. Olivia Evans of the Louisville Courier-Journal writes, more than a decade ago, Kroger promised shoppers it would transition to a 100% cage-free egg supply chain by last year. As of July of this year, that promise remains unfulfilled. In March of 2016, the Cincinnati-based grocery giant announced its intent to move its egg supply to cage-free, noting that its customers were choosing at an increasing rate the eggs laid by hens housed indoors, with unlimited access to food, water, and freedom to roam. The original announcement followed a campaign by animal cruelty activists against the national grocer and came at a time when 85% of the eggs sold at Kroger came from hens confined in cages. The Courier-Journal previously reported as part of the USA Today network. However, in a 2022 corporate report reviewed by the Courier-Journal, Kroger quietly shared a revised goal, giving the grocer until 2030 to get up to 70% of its egg supply to a cage-free status. Kent Stein, corporate policy specialist for farm animals protection at Humane World for Animals, said the backtrack promise by Kroger stands in contrast to so many grocery retailers, including Amazon, Costco, Target, CVS, Walgreens, Circle K, Trader Joe's, and more that have already achieved their 100% cage-free goals or established concrete plans to soon stop selling eggs from producers that keep hens confined. On July the 9th, at the grand opening for the new Kroger in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, the activist group had a mobile billboard on display at the gas station across the street from the store that said, "Kroger's eggs are gross," and depicted footage of hens in cages. When asked about Kroger's commitment to the cage-free egg transition, a spokesperson said, I don't really have a comment on that. So, here's what to know about Kroger's transition to cage-free eggs. Since the grocery company initially announced its goal of 100% cage-free eggs in stores by 2025, it's tracked progress toward this goal in its annual environmental, social, and governance report, which publicly discloses company data for the previous year on environmental impact, social responsibility, and corporate governance. A Courier Journal analysis of Kroger's ESG report found that from 2016 to 2021, the company reported that it was on track or making its transition as an area of focus. But an ESG report published by Kroger in 2022, tucked somewhere near the bottom of the 68-page document, the grocer provides an updated goal that stated, given the current rate of industry progress and consumers' desire for affordability, we don't expect to achieve our 2025 commitment. Kroger anticipates transitioning about 70% of its eggs sold by units to cage-free or higher welfare standards by 2030. Their goal revision is unacceptable, Stein said. A target of 70% cage-free eggs by 2030 is a lackluster mark showing no ambition, as it's virtually already in line with our country's status quo. The ESG report showed that the transition to cage-free comes at a hefty cost for the grocer, with Kroger reporting it anticipates investing about $45 million to support this roadmap to 2030. Kroger's claims about cage-free egg prices don't carry weight, Stein said. Hundreds of other cost-conscious companies like Amazon, Costco, McDonald's, and so many more have already made the change. Kroger had more than 10 years to prepare for this and fulfill its animal welfare commitment. Instead, it took the route of allowing animals to suffer horrifically while breaking its promise to the public. Now, Kroger reported that for the full year of 2022, cage-free eggs represented roughly 32% of total egg revenues across the company. That's a stark decrease from the nearly 46% of total egg revenue it accounted for in 2021. By 2023, the total egg revenue from cage-free eggs rebounded to almost 52%. This uptick in revenue from cage-free eggs came at a point when Kroger's units of eggs sourced from cage-free hens held steady, with its 2022 rate of 33%. In 2023, Kroger stated it was once again on track for the new supply transition goals. Kroger most recently published ESG report reflecting progress in 2024 stated the company saw 56% of total egg revenue from cage-free eggs and bolstered its units of cage-free to 43%. The company noted this progress exceeded its revamped goal for 2024.
Price of ownership. Hidden costs of buying a home can shock owners. From Medora Lee of USA Today. Buying a home is a huge milestone people save up most of their lives for, but it's a very different from owning a home, according to a survey. Nearly 2 in 3 home buyers said home ownership has been more expensive than expected, according to a business software jobbers survey of 800 adults who purchased a home in the past 2 years. Of those, only 44% budgeted for ongoing maintenance, the data showed. Buyers are so focused on home ownership that most budget for the purchase, not the full cost of ownership, which can cause emotional and financial stress, according to the survey. More than half said home ownership has been more stressful than expected. 36% have lost sleep over repair or cost concerns, and 34% have even questioned their decision to buy, the survey said. For many home buyers, the biggest financial surprises came from the cost of maintaining their home, Jobbers report said. Whether it's a leaking pipe, a failing HVAC system, or an urgent repair that can't be delayed, unexpected costs often require immediate decisions and can quickly strain household budgets. What does move-in ready really mean? Most home buyers expect eventual maintenance and repairs, but many are caught off guard when they're needed within the first 2 years, Jobbers said. While 86% of homeowners describe their home as move-in ready at closing, 58% uncovered unexpected repairs after moving in, the Jobber data showed. And those repairs weren't cheap. Nearly 3 of 4 buyers said they spent upwards of $10,000 on unexpected repairs or maintenance within the first 2 years. Beyond repairs and maintenance, homeowners also can be stung by high insurance costs and property taxes, experts said. Home insurance premiums have increased 46% since 2021, including a 12% rise in 2025, according to Insurance Comparison Marketplace in Serify's home insurance report. Insurance has become an increasingly significant piece of the puzzle in many parts of the country as premiums continue to rise. Comparison site LendingTree said in a report. It attributes the jump in insurance rates to more adverse weather events and inflation raising the cost of building materials, labor, and home repairs. Home insurance makes up 8.5%, or about $200, of the typical $2,354 monthly housing costs for homeowners with a mortgage nationwide, according to a LendingTree analysis. In 20 states, insurance rises to 10% or more of monthly housing costs, the survey showed. Nebraska leads with home insurance swallowing nearly 20% of housing costs, followed by Oklahoma at 17.6% and Texas at 14.4%. Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Texas all have severe wind and hail risks, and Texas homeowners face additional threats from hurricanes and even wildfires, depending on their location, said Rob Bahat, LendingTree insurance analyst and licensed insurance agent. Insurance companies in these states have priced the potential costs of these types of disasters into their rates. But not all rising insurance costs are tied to climate risks. State insurance regulators can significantly influence whether and when policyholders see that risk reflected in their premiums, said Julia Taliesin, economic analyst and a licensed insurance agent at Insurify. Insurance affordability has become a kitchen table issue. Inflation and climate risk have made it a key cost consideration, sometimes determining whether someone can afford a home in the area where they want to buy, she said. More than 3 of 4 homeowners said their property taxes rose more than what they budgeted for, and 64% said they were shocked by the size of the bill, according to property tax consulting service Ownwell's survey of 2,500 homeowners fielded in March. In 2024, property tax costs rose across every major metro from the prior year. LendingTree said after analyzing the latest government data, homeowners paid a median of $3,119 annually in property taxes, or $260 a month, and up 5.1%, the analysts showed. When considering the cost of home ownership, too many people take too narrow a view, according to Matt Schulz, a LendingTree chief consumer finance analyst. They think about the home price, interest rates, and closing costs, but they don't always consider other recurring costs over the long run, including property taxes, homeowners association, which is HOA, fees, and insurance. If you're not considering all these costs and more when thinking about how much house you can afford, you're doing yourself a disservice. These costs matter, and you can't ignore them at your peril. What should homeowners do? Additionally, many eager buyers, especially young ones, enter homeownership after making significant compromises that can hurt them. According to Jobber, 93% of Gen Z buyers made concessions to buy the home they wanted, including 10% who waived contingencies or what might be considered legal escape clauses, like inspection, appraisal, and financing protections. Paying for an inspection that can uncover issues can be worth the money, according to the report. Know that property taxes.
You're listening to a reading of today's USA Today on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is 12:45.
Continuing, after you purchase a home, property taxes will probably rise. Property taxes are calculated by multiplying your home's assessed value based on what your home will sell for and the local tax rate. Assuming you purchased the home for more than what the previous owners paid years ago, your home will likely be reassessed higher, and that will push up the property tax. Excuse me. Insurance premiums are also trending up, but insurance commissioners manage rate change requests from insurers and the overall stability of the state's insurance market. That could give voters a say, according to Taliesin. Insurance commissioners are powerful public officials that consumers rarely know about, she also commented on. In 11 states, where voters choose a commissioner, and in 39, the governor appoints one. This year, 4 states have insurance commissioner seats on the November 3rd ballot: California, Georgia, Kansas, and Oklahoma, all of which are facing rising insurance costs, according to Taliesin. And 36 states with appointed commissioners are holding gubernatorial elections, including Arizona, Iowa, Michigan, Nevada, and Wisconsin, where the party could flip, according to Cook Political Report forecasts. The 2026 midterm elections could materially affect home insurance premiums for millions of Americans, according to Taliesin.
12,000 plus pounds of bacon recalled over an import violation. Julia Gomez of USA Today writes, Maple Leaf Foods has recalled over 12,000 pounds of bacon imported to the United States from Canada because of an import violation, according to a notice from the Department of Agriculture's Food Safety and Inspection Service. The products were imported from Canada without the benefit of import reinspection into the U.S., according to the FSIS. The FSIS stated in its July 24th notice. The recall affects not ready-to-eat smoked bacon products distributed to retailers in Idaho, Oregon, and Washington State, according to the FSIS. No illnesses have been reported related to the product, according to the recall notice. The recall also comes about a week after President Trump's administration announced 50% tariffs on many Canadian imports. The tariffs expected to impact goods imported from the into the U.S. from Canada's auto, alcohol, and dairy industries are scheduled to take effect on August 19. However, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has signaled he is open to negotiations, so the final rate and scope may still change. So anyway, here's what you should know about the bacon recall. What's being recalled? The following Maple Leaf food products are included: Royale Natural Applewood Smoked All Natural Uncured Bacon product of Canada. The 12-ounce vacuum package with the following sell-by dates printed on the side of the package: September 1 of this year and September 7. Top Value Uncured Hardwood Smoked Bacon product of Canada. That's the 12-ounce vacuum package. The following sell-by dates printed: September 1, 2, 4, 5, 7. The recalled products were produced on the following dates: June 9, 10, 12, 13, and 15. EST.1 is also printed on the side of the package. So where were these things sold? Well, the products were sent to grocery outlet distributors and retailers in the following states: Idaho, Oregon, and Washington State. A full list of where the product was distributed is going to be posted to the FSIS website once available. So, what do you do if you purchase the recalled product? The agency said the recalled products may still be in consumers' refrigerators and freezers. It urged people not to consume the recalled products. Anyone who purchased the recalled bacon should throw it away or return it to the place of purchase, according to FSIS.
Shein warns of Trump tariff impact after posting first quarter loss. From James Powell of USA Today. Fashion retailer Shein blamed Trump administration trade policies with China for a loss in the first quarter of 2026 in financial filings as a purveyor of ultra-cheap clothing prepares to go public. Pre-IPO documents filed with the Stock Exchange of Hong Kong showed the company taking a $99 million loss in the first quarter of the year. The company made a profit of $395 million in the first quarter of last year, according to the documents. Founded in Beijing, China, and headquartered in Singapore, Shein has found itself at the center of trade tensions between the United States and China. Trump ended the de minimis exemption, a trade loophole for low-cost imported goods for imports from China, in May of 2025. The company said that the move has had an adverse impact on sales in its largest market. Shein's U.S. revenue fell 14.3% to $2.04 billion in the first quarter from $2.38 billion a year earlier. The United States accounted for 22.5% of quarterly revenue, down from 29.4% of annual revenue in 2023. Shein said that Chinese origin products sold directly from the company or through its marketplace and shipped to the United States are now subject to tax rates ranging from 10% to 87.5%. Before the Trump administration's actions, those products were taxed 0% to 62.5%, according to the company. In response to the increased duties and taxes, we are pursuing a wide range of options, including increasing our prices in the U.S. market to offset a portion of the increased costs, according to Shein. We expect to pass on the majority of the increased costs under our cost plus pricing strategy. It also noted in the filing that the U.S. war on Iran has affected consumer demand in the Middle East and disrupted shipping routes in the Strait of Hormuz. But the company said the war has not had and is not currently expected to have a material adverse effect on our overall business. The financial documents gave investors a look at the pressure facing Shein as it seeks new funds amid higher costs, slower growth, and growing regulatory scrutiny in key markets. The European Union, a key market for Shein, also imposed a euro fee, $3 fee on low-value e-commerce imports this month to curb what the bloc calls unfair competition from China. Europe accounted for about one-third of Shein's revenues in 2025. Although it remains too early to fully assess, it is possible that trends in the EU could be generally in line with or exceed the impact observed in the United States after the removal of the U.S. de minimis exemption, Shein said. Shein has faced criticism from rivals, regulators, and advocacy groups over issues including working conditions in supplier factories, allegedly addictive features of its shopping app, and the environmental impact of shipping large volumes by air.
Cracker Barrel, let's try that again. Excuse me. Cracker Barrel CEO stepping down effective August 10. Gabe Hari and Melina Khan of USA Today write, Cracker Barrel is soon going to have a new leader. The company announced July 27 that CEO Julie Masino will step down as CEO and member of the board effective August 10. Masino will be replaced by David Dino, most recently the CEO of Bloomin' Brands, the owner of casual restaurant chains such as Outback, Carrabba's Italian Grill, and Bonefish Grill. Massino will remain with Cracker Barrel as an advisor until October 9, the company said. Following a robust and thoughtful search process, we are pleased to welcome David as Cracker Barrel's next CEO, said Carl Berquist, independent chairman of the Cracker Barrel board, in a news release. He brings decades of experience across the restaurant and retail industries with a strong track record of leading businesses through growth and a demonstrated commitment to operational excellence, guest experience, and team member engagement. Dano said in the news release that he is honored to lead the Cracker Barrel team and looks forward to unlocking the full potential of this remarkable brand. He began his tenure as CEO of Bloomin' Brands in 2019, having previously served as the company's executive vice president and chief financial officer between 2012 and 2019. The departure of Massino as CEO follows an attempt to rebrand the chain that sparked controversy in the summer of 2025. On August 19th of last year, Cracker Barrel unveiled a new, simplified logo. While still featuring the company's classic golden brown color palette, it removed a man seated next to a wooden barrel. Now, some customers decried the logo change as uninviting. President Trump weighed in, writing in Truth Social that the chain could earn free publicity if it went back to its old logo. On August 26, the same day as Trump's initial post, Cracker Barrel said it would drop the new logo and return to the old-timer. We thank our guests for sharing your voice and love for Cracker Barrel. We said we would listen, and we have, the company statement said. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from USA Today for Thursday, July the 30th, 2026, on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. We will return for more readings after the short break. Your readers today,
Jim Duffy
and Ken Drost.
If you're listening to this publication online, you're probably using our website, a podcast player like Spotify or iTunes, a streaming service like Siro, or a smart speaker. Did you know that we now have a dedicated app that can be downloaded to any mobile device, like a smartphone or tablet, for free? App users can conveniently access our live stream and any episode of our podcast easier than ever. To download the app, just type NFRRS in the search window in the Apple App Store or in the Google Play Store. Contact us anytime if you have any questions by calling 716-821-5555, extension 5. Thank you.
We'll continue now with our reading of articles from today's issue of USA Today. Your readers are
John Drost.
and Jim Duffy. And moving on to our sports page, the willingness seriously Dodgers not splashy at deadline from Josh Peter of USA Today. Knowing the Los Angeles Dodgers and their free spending ways, it's inevitable they'll acquire pitcher Tarek Skubal or another high-priced player before the August 3rd trade deadline and maximize their chances to win a third straight World Series title. Their willingness to pay top dollar for free agents is indisputable. Start with Shohei Ohtani's $700 million 10-year contract, or the $240 million 4-year deal Kyle Tucker got before this season. 6 other players on the roster signed deals worth more than $100 million. But do the Dodgers go all out at the trade deadline? Of the 8 highest paid pitchers on the current roster, current highest paid players on the current roster, none were acquired at the Major League Baseball trade deadline. In fact, their last 2 were awfully quiet. Yet the Dodgers still won the World Series in the past 2 years. For the Dodgers in 2024, there was no obvious splash at the trade deadline. Los Angeles added pitchers Jack Flaherty and Michael Kopech, along with utility player Tom Edman and outfielder Kevin Kiermaier. The Dodgers were 63-44, which is a 5.78 percentage before the trade deadline, and 35-18 after it. Flaherty and Kopech strengthened the Dodgers pitching in the regular season, going a combined 10-2, with Kopech taking on a high leverage role in relief. But Edman wound up the postseason hero. He won the National League Championship Series MVP award, batting .407 with 11 hits, 1 home run, 11 RBIs, and 5 runs in 6 games against the New York Mets, and the Dodgers won the series 4-2. In the World Series, the Dodgers beat the New York Yankees in 5 games. Kopech made 12 postseason appearances, and Flaherty started 5 games in the playoff run. For the Dodgers in 2025, the club generated even less buzz at the trade deadline. Los Angeles picked up 3 minor league pitchers, three minor leaguers. Well, one of them was pitcher Adam Serwinowski, along with outfielder Zach Earhart and James Tibbs III. Outfielder Alex Call, pitchers Paul Gervais and Brock Stewart, and catcher Ben Rortvedt. The Dodgers went 63-46 before the deadline and 30-23 after the deadline. There was no Tommy Edman among the group, but the depth proved vital for the Dodgers, with Rortvedt starting 4 playoff games as catcher Will Smith dealt with injury, while Call made 3 starts in the outfield. The Dodgers went on to win the World Series, prevailing over the Toronto Blue Jays with a heart-stopping fashion, with extra inning victory in Game 7. The Dodgers have made significant upgrades with the trade deadline over the last decade. The acquisitions included pitcher Yu Darvish in 2017 when he was a 4-time All-Star, shortstop Manny Machado in 2018 when he was a 4-time All-Star, pitcher Max Scherzer in 2021 when he was a 7-time All-Star, and shortstop Trey Turner in 2021, who won the National League batting title that year. But none of those additions led to World Series rings, and the Dodgers have assembled their most fruitful rosters through other methods. The Dodgers used free agency to sign first baseman Freddie Freeman, pitcher Yoshinobu Yamamoto, pitcher Blake Snell, Ohtani, the designated hitter and also pitcher, and Tucker, the outfielder. Through the winter trades, the Dodgers acquired shortstop Mookie Betts and pitcher Tyler Glasnow.
Energy drinks, liquor, grease, bigger March Madness. Brent, that's not liquor grease, by the way. It's energy drinks, liquor, grease, bigger March Madnesses. Brent Schrottenborg of USA Today writes, to help protect college athletes from vices like vodka and Red Bull, the NCAA has long banned advertising of such products during broadcast of its championship events, including the NCAA basketball tournaments. Now, the NCAA even once nixed a proposal by 5 Hour Energy to sponsor the name of a bowl game, leading that bowl game to go out of business. But times have changed. Starting July 1, when the governing body for college sports opened the door for spirit and energy drink companies to advertise television commercials during NCAA championships. Now, the NCAA abandoned its previous principles for a reason: money. The NCAA confirmed to USA Today Sports it changed its advertising policy as part of its agreement with television companies to expand the men's and women's tournaments from 68 to 76 teams starting March of next year. The NCAA Division I Board of Directors changed these policies to maximize the revenues the association returns to member schools as they are investing more and more in student athletes on their campuses, according to Don Gavitt, NCAA Senior Vice President of Basketball. The change also brings NCAA championships in line with most schools and conferences which have been selling alcohol during events and accepting alcohol advertising and sponsorship for some time now. The NCAA will continue to prohibit sports betting and daily fantasy advertising. Now, they previously banned advertising during championship events for alcohol products that exceeded 6% alcohol by volume, which included many beer products, but excluded liquor and many wines. Now, the NCAA also previously restricted beer ads to be no longer than 60 seconds per hour of NCAA championship programming. Now, there is no ABV limit, and the alcohol commercial limit has expanded to up to 120 seconds an hour, effective July 1. At the same time, the change marks the latest twist in a long, strange history between the NCAA and energy drinks, which still are forbidden in another way. Now, those schools are not allowed to provide them to student athletes because caffeine is listed as a banned stimulant that could cause a player to flunk an NCAA drug test if consumed in high enough quantities. It's about the money. The NCAA is getting an extra $300 million from television companies over the next 6 years because they agreed to expand the basketball tournaments. To be able to pay for a bigger March Madness, a television company like Warner Brothers Discovery, needed to be able to sell more commercials for it, a job that becomes much easier and more lucrative if energy drinks and liquor products are allowed to be included. Warner Brothers Discovery previously televised early round men's tournament games on True TV and stands to benefit from the change, as will CBS, which also televises the men's tournament, and ESPN, which televises the women's. The NCAA confirmed its advertising policy became part of the negotiations to expand the basketball tournaments as a result. The final contract was approved by several NCAA panels, including the Division I men's and women's basketball committees. Now, they agreed to change in part because the NCAA now will be able to award more than $131 million in new revenue distributions to member schools that participate in the basketball tournaments over the final 6 years of their broadcasting agreements. The rapidly accelerating need to feed the financial beast continues to lead the NCAA and its business partners to increased commercialization. This from David Carter, founder of the Sports Business Group. This hasn't just been the case with college sports, as pro sports has also found itself embracing advertising and sponsorship categories once deemed inappropriate or illegal: alcohol and gambling. Now, the NCAA said it allowed energy drink ads on a trial basis for the for the 2026 men's and women's tournaments before the ban was permanently excuse me lifting the ban. Before the ban was permanently lifted July 1. The lifting of the ban applies only to television advertising during championship events like the basketball tournaments, the Frozen Four in hockey, and the College World Series in baseball and softball. Individual schools and conferences previously were not subject to this ban. Example, Celsius Energy Drink. The company has had sponsorships with Oregon, Colorado, Washington, and others. 2024, Buckeye Vodka became a sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. The Big 12 Conference on July 7th announced an entitlement sponsorship with the Monster Energy Drink Company that was not related to the lifting of the separate NCAA ban for championship events. Likewise, college athletes were not banned from endorsement deals with energy drink companies, such as the ones between Colorado football star Travis Hunter and Celsius. The NCAA wanted to promote healthy values for its member schools and athletes. Hard alcohol and energy drinks doesn't jibe with that. Their advertising policy states that it is designed to encourage those advertisements and advertisers that support the NCAA ideals and exclude those advertisements and advertisers that do not appear to be in the best interest of higher education and student athletes. In 2016, Mary Wolfert, then Associate Director of the NCAA Sports Science Institute, gave an online presentation to athletic trainers and athletic department staff. The presentation warned them about energy drinks, saying too many of such drinks could contribute to gastric upset, sleep disturbance, and heart palpitations. The energy drink buzz is a false energy, read one of the slides presented by Wolfert. Now, the International Bowl in Toronto went out of business after its last game in 2010 because the NCAA forbade a title sponsorship of the game by 5 Hour Energy, according to the game's chief executive. The college football playoff and Pac-12 networks also canceled an ad campaign with energy drink Exience in 2016 after receiving questions about it from USA Today Sports. Back then, they didn't want to appear out of step with the guidelines, even though they technically were not required to abide by them. Such a stance now appears quaint by today's standards. Energy drinks have become so endemic to the college experience and beyond. The marketing fit, the money that comes with it. It is just too tempting to pass up, according to Carter. And the facts that there is likely to be modest pushback from the public at large should lead to even broader acceptance of energy drinks as marketing partners throughout college athletics. The NCAA confirmed that such previously banned products still are not allowed to advertise at championships with on-site signage, nor can those companies be an official sponsor. On-site signage is exclusive to official sponsors, which includes Coca-Cola. An energy drink would not be eligible to be an official sponsor because of Coca-Cola's exclusivity with beverage products, according to the NCAA. The lifting of the ban, therefore, applies to TV commercials during championship events. And that's where the likes of CBS and TNT will quench their thirsts to pay for a bigger March Madness. There are still limits to what can be in their commercials. With alcohol advertising, the NCAA still requires TV ads be respectful and free of gratuitous and overly suggestive sexual innuendo, and no displays of disorderly, reckless, or destructive behavior.
You're listening to a reading of today's USA Today on the Niagara Frontier Radio reading service. The time is 1:15. Winning rehab. Patrick Mahomes explains competition-fueled recovery from left knee surgery. From Jarrett Bell, a columnist for USA Today. It would have been fitting enough if the Kansas City Chiefs had rolled out a red carpet at Scanlon Hall and lined the path with trumpets blaring as Patrick Mahomes arrived. Sure, it was only the start of training camp at Missouri Western State University, and rookie camp at that, but this is a big deal nonetheless. Mahomes is here, and so is his left knee, surgically repaired, rehab fortified, and lathered up. The best quarterback in the NFL hit another milestone in his comeback journey, cleared to fully practice in any and all drills from day one of camp. I'm excited, Mahomes confirmed July 24th during a 12-minute news conference inside the players' dorm. I've been seeing cinder block walls rehabbing every single day in Kansas City. When Mahomes checked in, it had been 223 days since he was carted off the field at Arrowhead Stadium with a torn ALC and LCL in his left knee. Shoot, back in the day, an injury like that might have wiped out a player for a year and a half, yet here was Mahomes, who was 30, tracking to make it back for the Monday night regular season opener against the Denver Broncos on September 14th. Here's to modern medicine and advanced rehab. Mahomes got the clearance on July 22nd during a follow-up exam with his surgeon, Dan Cooper. This is just another checkpoint on the schedule, Mahomes said, offering obligatory caution to go with some extreme confidence. And so you have to continue to work. It's not over, and I'm not going to play a game tomorrow. You've got to continue to work and get better and better and go through all practice and prove to the coaches, prove to the doctors and everybody that I'm the same quarterback I was before, if not better. It was telling that Chiefs coach Andy Reid won't even rule out playing Mahomes in the preseason. That decision is for another day, and Reid is quick to maintain that they are still operating on a day-to-day assessment. When someone asked about the Week 1 target that Mahomes has always had in sight, Reid said, "You've got to see how things go there. Let's just see where we're at and not make any predictions or anything else." Still, Reid, whose team stumbled to a 6-11 last season as the Chiefs missed the playoffs for the first time since 2014, knows how his quarterback is wired better than any of us. I suspect that even if he doesn't want to risk a setback during the preseason, there's no need to declare anything definitive now. If I'm Reid, I'm pushing whatever buttons will keep the flow of this mojo moving. Mahomes knows this is not about being ready to rock for the preseason. We'll just see where we get there, he said. Like, I'm a competitor, so like game day, I'm going to want to be out there. But I understand the process of getting myself ready in the regular season is more important, but we will see. I mean, the coaches and the doctors will kind of make that decision for me, but I will prepare myself like I'm going to play. And then if I'm doing a very hard warm-up, I will take that as serious as playing in the preseason game. Listen to Mahomes, and it's so apparent that recovering physically from such a serious injury constitutes just one significant portion of a comeback. It's mental, too. He reached out to Tom Brady for advice. It's a striking coincidence that Mahomes, whose resume includes 3 Super Bowl rings, suffered his severe knee injury in his 9th season. Brady had won 3 Super Bowls, too, when he suffered a similar injury. It's probably a given that Mahomes just connected with his former teammate, Tyreek Hill, over the course of his rehab. Hill, currently a free agent, is rehabbing from a dislocated kneecap and torn ACL and LCL. Then there's Zach Ertz, the free agent tight end who suffered a torn ACL a week before Mahomes was injured while playing with the Commanders. Mahomes and Ertz, who was once coached by Mahomes' college coach Cliff Kingsbury, have struck quite a supportive bond with each other during their rehabs. We kind of had like a competitions on where we were at and where we were rehabbing, Mahomes said. After they compared notes on how much they could deadlift in the weight room, Mahomes said the competition advanced to include video exchanges. Ertz sent Mahomes a video showing his explosion in drills jumping on a box. Mahomes sent Ertz footage that captured him cutting to change direction. And so it keeps the competition going, Mahomes said. It's a long process. and you feel like sometimes you're lonely because you're just doing stuff by yourself and you're just competing against yourself. So it gave me someone else that I can compete with to kind of push my competitive drive. Mahomes, given his abundance of competitive juice, mentioned how it hurt me to watch the Chiefs' final 3 games last season without him. Yet that wasn't the hardest element of his setback to deal with mentally. The toughest part? Honestly, the toughest part was at the beginning, like not being able to get up and chase my kids around, Mahomes, who is a father of 3, said, reflecting on the holiday season that came shortly after his December 15th surgery. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but being a dad and being an active dad, I always want to be around my kids and playing and stuff like that. And so I think that was tough. Once I was able to do that, it kind of motivated me to kind of keep getting better. So when Bronze, who is Patrick III, plays a T-ball game or Sterling's playing soccer, I can be out there with them. I always knew that I was going to get back there. It's just because of my mindset and the people that we have around me. More mental challenges, or at least markers, loom. As much as Mahomes has something to prove with his performance, he aims to get the ball out of his hand quicker and expects to run less after posting a career-high 422 rushing yards last season. At some point, he will take a hit on the knee. Of course, as was the case during the off-season workouts, that won't happen during training camp, as the quarterbacks clad in yellow jerseys are off limits. We've had people kind of on air coming at me and you're moving, but it's not the same as having Chris Jones chasing after you, said Mahomes, who will start off wearing a brace on the knee, but hasn't been told whether he will need to wear it for an extended period. Whenever he takes a hit, it'll be another marker. You never know until you get out there and you get hit and you make plays, he said. But I trust the process I've been through. Unlike last season, the most time Mahomes missed during the NFL career came in 2019, when he missed 2 games due to a dislocated knee. Like now, he returned at an accelerated pace, which undoubtedly says something about how he's physically wired to recover at a pace that is not typical. He reflected wistfully of a marker upon his return in 2019 that indicated he was fully back. It came on a play when he improvised while trying to avoid a rush to throw a pass, and it clearly provided some perspective to draw on in the coming weeks. I have that throw where I jump and throw the ball, and it looks cool, but I actually did it because I was running my knee out of there, he recalled. So it's just little things like that. You just have to build that confidence back. I'm glad you could do that from day 1 of training camp. I didn't want to have to get only a couple of weeks of practicing and then have to play in a game. I wanted to build it up. In other words, get ready to roll out the red carpet and strike up the band.
Detroit in overdrive for Rocket. Tony Paul of the Detroit News writes, "The city that put the world on wheels is hitting the brakes when it comes to professional golf. This is it for the PGA Tour in Detroit, at least for the foreseeable future, with the Rocket Classic set to be played for the 8th and final time this week at the Detroit Golf Club. Rocket Companies, that's the Detroit-based mortgage lender founded by Detroit billionaire booster Dan Gilbert, decided last month to end its decade-plus run as a title sponsor on the tour amid uncertainty over the changing landscape of the tour and its scheduling. After months of negotiation, Rocket declined to exercise its option for 2027, bringing to an end to the first and only annual PGA Tour stop to be played within city limits. It's been amazing to see what they've been able to build," said Ricky Fowler, who has played in every Rocket Classic as a longtime pitchman for Rocket and previously Quicken Loans. "To be a part of that," added Fowler, who has last won on the PGA Tour at the 2023 Rocket, when he dramatically birdied the 18th hole in regulation Sunday and then again in the playoff. "It's been a lot of fun." According to Tony Finau, the 2022 champion, "I'm extremely sad to not have a tournament back in in the 313. Mark Hollis, Rocket Tournament Director and formerly the longtime athletic director at Michigan State, has said there will be tears come Sunday night. But before that, he looked forward to putting on a show. It appears like he could deliver, with arguably the best field in the tournament's history. The Rocket Field, thanks in no small part to being the second to last regular season tournament before the start of the PGA Tour playoffs, boasts 4 players who are in the top 10 of the official world golf ranking and 8 in the top 20. More than half of the OWGR Top 100 is playing for Rocket. World number 3, Cameron Young, who won the Players' Championship and Cadillac Championship this year and finished runner-up at the British Open this month, is the highest-ranked player in the field. He has been a regular throughout the years at the Rocket, where he has has 2 top 10s, including a tie for second in 2022. It's been a great place for me, Young said this week. I played some nice golf here. I have good memories. I don't know what's going to happen with the future. It's been a great host. Speaking of the venue for the final Rocket Classic, Detroit Golf Club is showing off a $16.1 million reno that began after the conclusion of last year's Rocket in late June. The Donald Ross greens, which had naturally shrunk over the years, have been raised and expanded. They average 6,700 square feet from 5,400 to allow for more pin positions. There are more bunkers. There are over 100 now, and they're deeper too. Fescue has been planted all over the grounds, making the course more penal and aesthetically pleasing. Ross's old cross ditches have been brought back, and 2 pushover par 5s have been turned into long par 4s. DGC now will play to a par 70. Players who got an early glimpse of the changes this week are raving about the look and assuring all of us that it will play tougher, if not exactly tough. Members approved the renovation in 2024 with an eye on hosting many more Rockets. That makes this week a bit bittersweet for the grounds crew, including the head superintendent. My staff takes a lot of pride in being able to present a golf course to the nation. Sam Moynihan, DGC's director of agronomy, said Tuesday morning, and being able to help highlight Detroit Golf Club on a national stage. Before the first tee shot had been hit at this year's Rocket, the PGA Tour officially announced its replacement for 2027 on Tuesday. A new tournament, new sponsor, insurance company Sampo, and a familiar venue, Silverado Resorts North Course in Napa, California, will take place July 29th through August 1 of next year. That Sampo sponsored tournament will remain on the schedule in 2028 as part of the PGA Tour's new championship series. The upper tier in CEO Brian Rulap's new 2-tier scheduling model. That tournament will move to a new, as yet undisclosed location in 2028. The PGA Tour, though, continues to maintain that the Detroit market remains a priority for the future, and officials are exploring potential new sponsors and even new venues. Now, even Rocket hasn't completely shut the door on a return one day, although that's assuredly not going to be next year. We look at this as a bit of a pause. Nick Barlage, CEO of Rocket Entertainment Group, said recently, "We're not ruling out being back and part of the PGA Tour again. We're not giving up on golf. We just need a chance to kind of reassess the golf landscape." What the Rocket rarely has lacked is drama. There have been big-name champions, including Fowler, Finau, and Bryson DeChambeau, who overpowered the course in 2020 and sheepishly said afterward, "Sorry, Mr. Ross." There's been plenty of drama down the stretch on Sundays with 3 playoffs, 2 that lasted 5 holes, including last year's when the then 20 Aldrich Potgieter got his first PGA Tour win. For now, this is it. As for the future, Detroit's been known for a lot of things, like those wheels and comebacks. I'd love to have an event back here at some point, Fowler said. Never say never.
You're listening to a reading of today's USA Today on the Niagara Frontier Radio reading service. The time is 1:30. Cowboys like their quietly good off-season. From Tyler Dragon of USA Today. Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb's contract situations hung over the Dallas Cowboys 2 years ago. Micah Parsons' contract stalemate was a distraction last year. This year, it's been an uncharacteristically quiet offseason for the Cowboys. At least, that's the public perception. I like the idea that the word is that we have had a quiet offseason relative to, dare I say, off-the-field noise or chatter, whatever you want to call it. I liked it. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said Tuesday, July 28th, at the team's opening training camp press conference. I personally like the fact that the perception is that it's been a quiet, non-confrontational offseason. That's good. A non-confrontational offseason? Yes. Quiet? Maybe. But that shouldn't be confused with inactivity. The Cowboys used plenty of resources in an attempt to strengthen the NFL's worst scoring defense. Dallas hired first-time defensive coordinator Christian Parker, signed free agents such as safety Jalen Thompson and cornerback Kobe Durant, acquired linebacker D. Winters and edge rusher Rashawn Gary via trades, and drafted rookies they expect to make immediate impacts in safety Caleb Downs and edge rusher Malaki Lawrence in the first round of the 2026 NFL Draft. So maybe quiet isn't the right term to describe the Cowboys this offseason. The personnel moves that we made, and bringing in Rashawn Gary and D. Winters and Caleb Downs and Malachi Lawrence, all those moves that we made, it was not a quiet offseason for us. It was a great offseason for us, Cowboys coach Brian Schottenheimer said, one that we worked extremely hard on. Schottenheimer later called the Cowboys offseason awesome. Dallas returns almost every starter from the NFL's number 2 offense in 2025. The moves they made, particularly on defense this offseason, were a spirited effort to improve what was one of the worst defenses in franchise history. No matter which terms the Cowboys use to characterize their offseason, Prescott seems to be on board. The starting quarterback showed up to training camp sporting a Super Bowl 30 t-shirt, a not-so-subtle nod to the Cowboys' last Super Bowl victory 30 years ago, which was January 28, 1996. I like the idea that thinking that positive about what we're going to work for. We've got a long way to go, Jones said of Prescott's Super Bowl 30 t-shirt. That's good to me, to be positive, especially coming from him. He's a big part. He's got a first-hand feel. I like him to be thinking that success level. In typical Jones fashion, he later used a unique analogy to portray the state of the Cowboys as a kickoff camp. We're going to burn some of these wagons on the way to California for firewood. We're going to lose some folks. We're going to have some burn, but the wagon train is going to get there. Bottom line is, I love the excitement. Jones, Schottenheimer, and Prescott are feeling optimistic about the Cowboys. Nobody knows where the wagon train is going to wind up, but the drama-free offseason is a sign the Cowboys are at least attempting to handle their business on the field rather than create headlines off of it.
The Women's National Basketball Association award predictions. Wilson, Miles lead the frontrunners. Cindy Henderson of USA Today writes the following article. The 2026 WNBA All-Star Game is in the books, and the push for the playoffs has officially begun. The Minnesota Lynx are sitting atop the WNBA standings, led by dynamic rookie guard Olivia Miles, who became the first player in their history, in WNBA history, to record 400 points, 100 rebounds, and 100 assists in 22 games. She has not only emerged as Rookie of the Year frontrunner, but has also entered the MVP conversation. Candace Parker is the only player in league history to win Rookie of the Year and MVP in the same season, back in 2008. Las Vegas Aces center A'ja Wilson, however, would like a word. It's hard to consistently top yourself, but the four-time MVP continues to dominate on both sides of the basketball. Wilson's former college coach, South Carolina's Dawn Staley, predicted Wilson will become the league's first five-time MVP. When you see great players get better each year, each and every year, that's hard to do. It's easy when you're an average player. You can see the growth. But when you see the great ones get better each and every, it's not talked about enough, Staley said about Wilson, whose aces are within striking distance of the number one overall seed. As play resumes on the final third of the 2026 WNBA season, USA Today Sports Studio 9 is taking a look at who might be in line for awards come September. Here are our predictions. A'ja Wilson, Las Vegas Aces. Wilson has emerged as the favorite to win the MVP, which would shock nobody. She's flirting with her career high, averaging a league-leading 26.1 points per game in her ninth season. Her stat line is rounded out by 9.5 rebounds, which is tied for fourth place in the league. She's recorded double-digit points in every game this season, 24 starts, including an efficient 45-point performance against the Connecticut Sun on May 15th. She's grabbed at least 15 rebounds 5 times this season, and her 12 double-doubles ranks third overall. Wilson's usage rate is the highest in the league at 32.1, and she's accounted for nearly a third of the team's made field goals this season. It's 33.9%. Should we keep going? Wilson has positioned the defending champions to make another run at the title at 18-8 on the season. Others receiving their votes: Paige Buckers, G.
Guard.
Dallas. I'm sorry?
Guard.
Oh, G. All right. Paige Buckers as guard. Dallas. Olivia Miles, guard, Minnesota. Caitlin Clark, guard, Indiana. Next, WNBA DPOY, A'ja Wilson, Las Vegas Aces. Wilson has won MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season twice, 2022 and 25. Make it 3. Wilson leads the league in blocks at 2 per game, and is fifth in rebounds at 9.6 per game, the third highest mark of her career. As the anchor of the Aces defense, Wilson has helped Las Vegas maintain a 103.8 defensive rating across Las Vegas's last 5 games. They're third in the league. Others receiving votes: Ryan Howard, guard, Atlanta; Angel Reese, forward, Atlanta; Shakira Austin, center, Washington; and Gabby Williams, forward, Golden State. Next, WNBA Rookie of the Year, Olivia Miles of the Minnesota Lynx. Now, Miles' debut has been nothing short of historic. The number 2 overall pick in the 2026 draft leads all rookies in points, 19.3 points per game, made field goals 6.8, and assists at 6. She scored double digits in all 26 games to start her career, including a career-high 33 points against Phoenix earlier this season. She was named an All-Star starter, the only rookie to earn the honor this season. Miles doing this and shouldering so much, basically the success of the team is on her shoulders, and that is impressive how she's handled it, according to Lynx coach Cheryl Reeves. And others receiving votes: Ozzie Fudd, a guard from Dallas, Hawa Pham, center, Seattle, Sidney Taylor, guard, Chicago, and Flau'jae Johnson, guard from Seattle. Next, WNBA Most Improved, Jessica Shepard of the Dallas Wings. After spending 5 seasons in Minnesota, she found a new home and expanded role in Dallas after signing with the Wings in free agency. Shepard ranks second in scoring for the Wings through 27 games, all starts, and averaged a career-high 14.9 points per game, besting her previous high of 8.1 per game in 2019. She also set a career high in assists at 5.4 and rebounds 12, which leads the entire league. Shepard owns 4 out of 5 triple doubles this season. Her career best was rewarded with her first All-Star nod, being voted as a starter no less. An award for Most Improved Player is likely next. Others receiving votes: Marina Mabrey, guard from Toronto; Carla Late, guard, Portland; Anissa Morrow, forward, Connecticut; Dominique Malonga, center, Seattle. Next, the WNBA 6th Player of the Year, Janelle Salon of the Golden State Valkyries. Salon has been explosive off the bench for Golden State, averaging a career-high 12.5 points for the Valkyries. Golden State has the highest scoring bench in the league at 35.4 points per game, and Salon's 345-point total off the bench leads the way. She is shooting a 41.1 from the field and a blistering 39.4 from the three-point line, which both mark career highs. I'm just trying to bring energy whenever I come on the court, she said. Well, mission accomplished. The Valkyries are second in the standings at 19-8 and will likely set a new franchise record of wins. Others receiving the same vote, or that vote: Sophie Cunningham, guard from Indiana; Jewel Lloyd, guard from Las Vegas; Caitlin Chen, a guard from Golden State; and Ray Burrell, guard from Los Angeles. And finally, the Coach of the Year, Cheryl Reeve, Minnesota Lynx. Now, Reeve has led the Lynx to new heights since taking over head coaching duties in 2010, guiding the franchise to 4 championships in 7 finals appearances to become all-time winningest coach in WNBA history. Yet, Reeve somehow continues to top herself. This year is especially unique. The Lynx weren't on anybody's radar heading into the season because of injury, 5-time All-Star Napheesa Collier, and losing key pieces in free agency like Alana Smith, Jessica Shepard. But Minnesota has the best record in the league with the second best defense, third best overall offense. Now that's in large part to rookie Olivia Miles, who has seamlessly made the transition to the pros. Collier is back in the lineup after missing the first 27 games, so there's no telling how deep the Lynx can go. Reeve has won Coach of the Year, a record, 4 times, at 2011, 16, 2020, and 2024, and is well on her way to extending her record. And the others receiving votes: Josie Fernandez, Dallas; Natalie Nicase, Golden State.
You're listening to a reading of today's USA Today on the Niagara Frontier Radio reading service. The time is 1:44. NIL payments hit $300 million, and the women are the biggest winners. From John Bryce of USA Today. Female student athlete participation in deals involving the use of their name, image, and likeness grew by more than 120% in the most recent fiscal year, and student athletes were included in more than $300 million worth of multimedia rights partnership revenue, Learfield announced July the 28th, according to a report viewed by the USA Today Sports. By volume, the amount of NIL deals with Learfield for women jumped from 2,136 in fiscal year 2025 to 4,772 NIL activities for fiscal year 2026. The 2,636 deal uptick was part of a broader increase of more than 5,000 NCAA student athletes, the Learfield Impact Report noted. The company, which recently has used some of its larger partnership properties, like Ohio State University and University of Tennessee, as part of local deal days to showcase how the company activates NIL deals, also boasted more than 1,700 multimedia revenue deals, again nearly double Learfield's previous year tally of 900 plus. The company did not disclose what portion of the more than $300 million in multimedia partnership revenue was devoted to college football, as well as men's and women's basketball, but it did reveal that the top 5 sponsorship teams company-wide were the following: football, men's basketball, women's basketball, and baseball and softball. Per Learfield, the most commonplace NIL activities for student athletes included serving as a company's brand ambassador, video/photo production shoots, social media amplification, in-person appearances, and autograph signings. Touting partners such as T-Mobile, Marriott, Uber, and AT&T, among others, Learfield disclosed it engineered 22 national deal partnerships for student athletes and 69 colleges and universities represented in those national campaigns.
Moving into the life section. Television, specifically, Shark Lady inks a tattoo record on the Discovery Channel. Brian Alexander of USA Today writes, Shark Week 2026 has found its ultimate inked ambassador for Discovery Channel's annual Shark Frenzy of TV programming. Emily Morrison, better known as Shark Lady Emily, shows off a Guinness World Record 106 shark tattoos in the Adventure Tour operator's Shark Week debut. My Strange Shark Addiction. It's going to show Friday, July 31st at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. By the end of the show, which features 2 tattoo editions, Morrison has 108, which is besting her own ink record. It's a consuming and permanent passion for the self-described shark biologist and advocate. Because we do about 2 or 3 sharks every tattoo session, plus a tooth here and there, we figured out the total price to be about $20,000 and about 300 hours in the chair, Morrison tells USA Today. A lot of tattoos, so, it makes sense. I don't have a passion for anything else to be tattooed on my body forever. Morrison, who's age 45, Florida-based tour company Shark Lady Enterprises, is one of 3 businesses. First inked a great white shark tattoo on her lower back in 1999. After her 12-year marriage ended in 2022, she started living her shark life with more underwater adventures. And after a life-changing special interaction with a whale shark, the shark tattoo tribute started. I thought that was a great idea. Maybe I should have more shark interactions and get them tatted, she says. And as more interactions happened, I started finding new places to put them. After constantly fielding questions on whether she held the Guinness World Record for shark tattoos, Morrison found there was no existing record. So I applied, and lo and behold, they took it, says Morrison, who is presented with the Guinness World Record title for the most sharks tattooed on the body, a female, during the Shark Week show. Her tattoos include 2 great whites on her lower back and neck, 2 zebra sharks, 2 tigers, 2 sand tiger sharks, a school of 13 hammerhead sharks. When asked which tattoo hurt the most, The side of the head tattoos actually weren't so bad, Morrison says, and numbing cream helps ease the sting of her leg tattoos. Behind the knee was pretty painful. Everything else was pretty tolerable, she says. One exception was the broad-nosed seven-gill shark wrapped around her right ankle, where tattooing directly over the bone proved especially painful. Morrison says she nearly had to stop her tattoo artist, Emma Knox Flavin, during the session. It was right on the shin. I swear to you, that was the closest I've ever come to being, oh my God, stop. That was pain. So, will the next tattoo be on her face? Morrison also weighs getting a shark tattoo across her face in My Strange Shark Addiction, though the debate is played up with a healthy dose of Shark Week hyperbole. I'm serious about doing it, she says. It just wouldn't be a large one, maybe a tooth or something small. The next tattoos will be two more great white sharks Morrison came across during an Australia trip. I was able to name one of the females, so I'm definitely tattooing her. That's going on my right thigh. Though she doesn't know how many tattoos she will get in total, there's still plenty of room. I have a lot more space than people think, on my legs and even on my back. And I can put small sharks in between the existing tattoos. I'm just going to let them flow like I've always done. And finally, do shark tattoo records help sharks? The annual debate surrounding Discovery Channel's 37th Shark Week is whether its increasingly entertainment-focused programming still advances shark awareness and conservation. Morrison argues that My Strange Shark Addiction and even her tattoos promote shark education and spark conversations in a lighthearted way. Shark education is one of my main things, she says. I hope the show is a conversation starter.
Rossum takes furious shot with muscle, not BB guns. From Brian Alexander of USA Today. Shameless star Emmy Rossum went all in playing an NYPD cop-turned-FBI agent in Furious. But she drew the line when it came to getting shot, even if it was during a training exercise with BB guns. On day 2 of the training session for the 8-episode drama series, the first 3 episodes streaming on Hulu and Disney+, Rossum, who was 39, who had already had weapons training, was given a powerful BB gun and told to seize a hilltop position during a rainstorm. I try not to do cardio. It's not my thing. But I'm in the driving rain trying to take this hill, Rossum tells USA Today. Halfway up, I see someone in a poncho with a gun of their own who was shooting back at me. I was like, no, we're good with this one. This person is shooting at me. I did not sign up for this. Rossum says she took a BB hit to the center mass torso area. And though she was wearing protective technical gear, she had to call it. There was stuff whizzing by my head, and I'd been shot, she says. It was getting a little too real. Even with the abbreviated training exercise, executive producer Rossum brings quiet authenticity to Alice Black, the determined FBI agent who partners with her former NYPD colleague Danny Kelly, who played by Scoot McNairy, to hunt Catherine, played by Lola Pettigrew, a serial killer targeting powerful men tied to a child trafficking ring. When creating Furious, a writer and executive producer Elizabeth Merriweather from New Girl and Dying for Sex was inspired by the 1987 thriller Black Widow. In the film, Deborah Winger plays FBI agent Alex Barnes, who tracks down the gold-digging serial killer Catherine Peterson, played by Teresa Russell, as she moves from husband to husband, killing them to collect their fortunes. Though the main characters' names are similar, the motivations and story of the two Furious characters are more complicated and dark. I was so into the idea of doing a character study of these two women, really digging into the psychology of a female serial killer and female FBI agent, Merriweather says. The fun of the show is that in chasing this serial killer, Emmy's character is forced to deal with things inside her that she hasn't looked at or thought about in a long time. In a summer dominated by Greek mythology, thanks to Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, Furious has unexpected but powerful connections. We had a tricky time coming up with the title, and eventually gave the nod to Greek mythology, Rossum says. The fairies were these three angels of vengeance, and Medusa is mentioned as a woman who had been wronged and violated, so she became a villain. Rossum, who shares a 5-year-old daughter and 3-year-old son with her husband Sam Esmail, stepped up her stunt performance and put on 10 pounds of muscle to play Black. Preparation required only 90-minute workouts with low reps of high weight and cutting out sugar with lots of snacking on chopped beef snacks. Please sponsor me for season 2. When you're eating that much meat, you don't have room for sugar, she says. I love the journey, like watching the definition happen and the muscles start to pop and feeling like I could throw my 45-pound kid in the air with ease. Rossum, who has become far more selective with her projects since Showtime's Shameless ended in 2021 after 11 seasons, and the birth of her children, was able to take on Furious, which was shot primarily around her home in New York City. The 10 pounds of muscle, however, has not stayed. Sadly, I'm off it now. That's a full-time job. The increased return to work has some downsides. Rossum was in Rhode Island shooting Rubber Hut during much of the New York Knicks championship run when her beloved NBA team ended its 53-year title drought. Frequent night shoots prevented Rossum, a native New Yorker, from being courtside with the other celebrity Knicks fans. It was heartbreaking that I couldn't be there, says Rossum, who took over a World Cup party to watch the final game from a rooftop bar. It's been a long time coming. I don't know if I'll ever come down. Like I'm wearing all my Knicks merchandise. It's not going away. You've been listening to a reading of USA Today for Thursday of July 30th, 2026 on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. We read USA Today weekdays at noon. For more information, call 716-821-5555. And finally, your readers today have been
Ken Drost
and Jim Duffy.
If you or people you know shop at any of the Dash's supermarkets, please save Dash's register tapes for radio reading. Our agency receives $2 for every $100 in Dash's register tapes. Radio reading has raised thousands of dollars so far. Anyone can drop off their Dash's tapes to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service at 1199 Harlem Road, Cheektowaga, between William and Clinton Streets. Or Dash's tapes can be mailed to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service at 1199 Harlem Road, Cheektowaga, New York, 14227. Any questions on Dash's tapes for radio reading? Call us at 716-821-5555, and thanks for caring. who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability